Hello and welcome back to another Swole Osmo video. Today we're going to be going over the Madden 23 age-old question. Why are my corner routes not getting open? I ran corner routes for my entire Madden career because I run tight sets. And many of you have run bunch, gun tight offset, gun tight, or even trips, doubles and sail, and things like that. And you're wondering why your corner routes aren't getting open. And it seems like your opponents are gashing you with corner routes over and over, and you're not sure why or what you're doing wrong on defense or offense that are causing their corner routes to get open and yours to be absolutely bagged. Now, I'm going to give you this solution. If you remember my defend gun tight video that I will link in the comments down below, you'll see that cover 4 drop baseline pressed is the best way to defend gun tight. And that's because these outside quarters play super well against corner routes because they play them to the inside. However, experienced players will know how to counter this somewhat. You can obviously counter to the counter, and then it becomes a chess game, and you have a lot of fun playing the game when there's a chess game on the field where you can man him up, hard flat on one side, maybe even Mabel to mix it in, to have someone covering below the corner route, but that's a topic for another day. I'm here to solve why your corner routes aren't getting open and show you some techniques about why you thought or what you think will work but no longer works, and how to run something a little bit different to make those corner routes get open. So let's get straight into it. So I'm going to call something like let's call dollar cover 4 drop, and I will adjust out of that. Most people aren't running match against your corner routes. If you are having issues with match, please drop a comment down below, say, hey, I'm looking for match beaters, and I will showcase you the best match beaters I have out of my gun tight offense and somewhat of gun tight doubles, offset, any formation. And then if you're not in those formations, you can implement it in your own offense, of course. So let's call cover 4 drop the baseline pressed version. So what most people will do, most inexperienced or novice players, will just hope that this will get wide open and they'll throw this corner out and they'll be upset when that's picked. Then, if you're a little bit more experienced, you'll be like, oh, I know why it's not open. I need to be on the wide hash because that was the best way to run corner routes in Madden 17, 18, 19, 20, even 21. You could get away with things like this. As long as you were on this wide hash, there was more space to throw your corner out and more space for that quarter to drop. And you'd still try to throw it, maybe throw it over him, and you're not able to get it. And you're still wondering, okay, if you're even more experienced, you've played a lot of the games, even in Madden 22, you know that you need a pull route, and we'll get into how you'll use them this year slightly differently. You'll put like a fade on here, and what you'll do is you'll hope that the quarter gets pushed, but the quarter doesn't. And this also happens for thirds. I just think quarters are much better at defending corner routes, so there's no point in going over thirds because they display the exact same behavior. Now, you need to completely look at Madden 23 differently in terms of how you throw your corner routes. The only common concept that we're going to keep in mind is pull routes, as in using streaks, goes, 9 routes to pull inside or to pull up the outside third zones or outside quarter zones and allow you to throw that corner route underneath, which has been a staple of everyone's offense in past Maddens. What we have here is bench. Now, when you're playing against these formations, the way you actually have to throw your corner routes is you have to focus on throwing it to the short side of the field. So instead of throwing it to Michael Thomas's wide side of the field, you're going to have to throw it to the short side of the field. Not only that, but you can't just run it like this. You also need a fade. A streak sometimes works depending on how far outside they are, but I do recommend a fade as I think it pulls quarters inside and up more so. So let's do it with this concept. You'll see that the fade pulls it to the inside, allowing you to throw that corner route wide open. But then you think to yourself, okay, it's on the short side, so there's not as much space. And you would be right. There's not as much space if they do put, let's say, I wonder how deep this R1 will go, and they man up your tight end. So the play art looks like this. And all you're doing is fading. I doubt this tight end might get open, but it might be extremely tight. The cloud sits a little bit beneath it, and the man coverage bags it. Of course, we catch it in the example, but it becomes easier to bag. Okay, you do know that the wide side of the field is important. Now, the way to run corner routes to the wide side of the field, as you can imagine from the short side of the field concept, is to utilize a fade. But I went over why it doesn't work anymore just doing that. What you actually have to do is snap the fade. I wouldn't recommend in motion. I would snap it once you get set. once it's to the outside like such. So if you did want to run a double corner route concept, which once again you do need time for if you were to run it, what I would recommend is attacking one corner outside of the field and having some checkdowns. So something like maybe this, right? So if you do want to attack that left side, if you do get blitzed, you can throw that hitch or that drag. But you'll notice that actually this corner route will get wide open now. I'm actually going to freeform it. Freeforming is just fun. If you want to learn it, I recommend you learn it. It'll help your game. If you do want to learn freeforming, drop it in the comments below. I'll go over my settings, how to run it, and how I throw certain routes. So that's what you have to do if you want to run corner routes to the wide side, and to the short side, you have to do the same thing. So I do recommend using fades, but if you're on the wide side, you do want to motion that fade out so it pushes that quarter back. We might get edge threaded here. We didn't, luckily. Allowing you to throw that corner route. That time it was a tiny bit tight. That's because I highballed it, but regardless. But now you don't want to be predictable. And this is the other thing. Using a fade kind of takes away some of your other route options, which I understand. And as soon as you motion over like this, your opponent goes, oh, okay, it's immediately a fade. Or in this case, you're also sacrificing some of your protection. Well, there's actually something else you can do. And this is a concept that is fantastic. And all you have to do is wheel your running back. So in this case, the wheel on the running back doesn't matter if you're on the wide side, the short side, if they're using quarters, if they're baselined, if they're not baselined. A wheel from the running back will pull the outside quarter or outside third to the inside and up. Almost better, I'd argue better in general than the fades that I've been showing. So I'm going to motion this guy over for extra blocking. That's a concept I really like. And you'll notice that you're able to throw this further to the outside. Sure, it takes slightly longer, but allows you to implement a motion block. Or, more importantly, it allows you to be less predictable on the offensive side of the football. So I'm going to do the exact same thing. You do have to wait about a half a second longer, but I argue that it's more open. So you're able to throw it right about there. I did overthrow it. But it allows you to throw it to that sideline a little bit more. I'd argue it's also even better to the short side of the field. So if they're really playing for that fade, maybe they'll man up the fade or they'll bring their quarter down. You can actually do something like this. So let's say you can run a double drag, a wheel, and actually that wheel route will block for your drag later on down the play. So you run a concept like this, the wheel will push him back, and you're able to throw that. I keep throwing it out of bounds. Jameis Winston, that is not perfect accuracy, my friend. It is just not. He really wants like... Okay, Jameis, if you make this pass, I'll get you some crab legs. I promise. All right, so here we go. We're going to try to throw this corner out one more time with the wheel. Takes a second longer. You throw it right under. He didn't want the crab legs. That's fine. That's fine. We're going to do it again. We just keep overthrowing this pass. I'm not actually sure why. I'm going to not freeform it. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to regular pass lead it. There we go. And that's pretty open. So if you do not want to be predictable or utilize a fade, you can feel free to use a running back wheel. This concept leaves your route more open on the short side and quicker on the short side, but I would use it more to the wide side because then your opponent can't predict that you're going to throw a corner route on them. Regardless, that's the way to run corner routes this year. That's the best way to do it. Either fades to the short side, motion out fades to the wide side, or an RB wheel on either side. I hope you're able to implement it into every offense you're in, and I really hope you are able to pass the ball effectively just like you have in the past. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. If I helped you at all, even if I gave you one more dot, two more dots, or an extra 10 yards a game, leave a like down below. It really helps me out, and I appreciate it. Thank you, and have a great day.